I played the Hollywood Bowl, all right, with Nate Craig and Dean Del Rey, and then special guest was John Lovitz. He came out in the middle of my act, and we shit on each other for about a minute. I pretended I was thirsty, and he just came walking out. Place went fucking crazy because he's John Lovitz. And then they also, the people that actually saw that podcast where we trashed each other, which I had no idea people were going to like it that much. It was one of the most popular podcasts I've ever done, us just trashing each other. But anyway, I'll take you through the day. So Friday comes along, and that was such a big gig for me that I was literally like paralyzed. Like I couldn't work out. I didn't go play drums. I couldn't go fart around the neighborhood, nothing. I was just like laying in bed looking at Nia going, like, I'm like, I know it's going to be good, but I just want to get over there and do this. And then I had, you know, a zillion people on the guest list because I've lived out here for almost 20 years. I mean, it was like, I felt like I was getting married again. You know what I mean? When you're making out like the guest list and this person, they need to add one and this person can't make it and who should sit with who? Where do we put this? You know, people last second hit me up and just wanted to make sure that everybody got in, which happened thanks to Club Soda Kenny. And meanwhile, I rented a classic Cadillac to drive over there. I got a 1965 gold on gold Cadillac Coupe de Ville convertible. And when I first got behind the wheel of it, I was like, I don't know if I like this. It's a little weird, you know? It's funny, those cars look huge, and then you get inside of them. They're nowhere near as big as the cars today. Like a fucking SUV. Everybody always like taught, man, that car was like fucking 90 feet long and weighed a fucking ton. It's not like a 65 Cadillac Coupe de Ville two-door is a paperweight compared to something that a fucking soccer mom is driving down the street in. Like those Teslas weigh like fucking 10,000 pounds, you know, not that much, but you know what I mean. So I drove it like half a block. I was like, you know, I don't know if I like this. And half a block later, I was like, oh, I can get into this. And I had the armrest down, and I was leaning, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And I don't know what it had. And I know it had a V8, but the ignition was right in the center of the dashboard. And you left it at 12 o'clock. If you went to the auxiliary, you could wear down the battery, which I did the night after the bowl, you know, because I got out, it was dark out. I'm just used to turning it all the way to the left. And I came out the next day to take all the family out to breakfast. I had a dead battery, but I called AAA. We were fine. But anyway, so finally it's the moment of truth. I'm going over there. I get in the car to do sound check at like 4 PM, and then there's no point of me driving all the way fucking home. The time I got home, fucking hour drive, I got to come right back. So I drive over there, and I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm also like, I just want to get on fucking stage, you know? So I pull in. Of course, I go in the wrong way. Then I got to get out, and then I pull in. Everybody's loving the car. And I get out, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Fucking Hollywood Bowl. And I meet Club Soda Kenny there, everybody else, and literally just dropped my stuff and walked right out. I took video of it. I posted it on Instagram of just walking out and seeing the Hollywood Bowl empty from the stage. And like just this, I don't know, I can't even explain it. It was just incredible, iconic, adrenaline rushing. And I knew in that moment, I'm like, I'm going to fucking murder tonight. I'm not going to have a good set. I'm going to fucking murder. You know, I'd gone out to the Comedy Store Wednesday night and Thursday night. I did 2 sets a night, did different parts of my act. So everything was all, you know, stretched, you know. No tight hammies on any of the jokes. I knew what the fuck I was going to do for the most part. I had a new joke that I'd been opening with, and I was like, fuck this. I'm opening at the Bowl with it because then it'll just make me feel like I'm doing a spot. So We do sound check. They got a little coffee machine there. So I have what did I have? I had a latte, I think. And then Dean got some sort of green thing, that maca drink that had a espresso shot. I was like, I might get one of those later, right? So, everybody's coming in and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just sitting there. I got a ton of people in the green room. Some people like to be alone. I like to just have everybody in the green room talking, shooting the shit, busting balls. Lovett shows up, and all we do is just trash each other, having a great time. And, and then the friggin' show starts. Nate goes out to open, absolutely kills. He brings out Dean. Dean crushes. And then I go out there. Oh, I forgot to tell you, a long time ago, Richard Pryor played there on one of the first gay pride days. And he went out there and his opening line was, I sucked a dick once. And the place went nuts. He was really talking about he got molested by this guy. But they didn't know that, right? So he does that bit. He immediately gets the gay crowd totally on his side. And he just was setting them up to basically say, why should I give a fuck about you guys? Where the hell were you when Watts was burning? When they were having all the riots after Martin Luther King was assassinated, civil rights, all of that type of stuff. Where the fuck were you guys? You guys were in West Hollywood not doing shit for me. Why the fuck should I give a fuck about you? 90% of them didn't get it, started booing him, and he didn't give a fuck. Told them all to go fuck themselves. And then he left. And then I was thinking, like, as much as he was Richard Pryor, there was still, that venue at that point was already 50 years old, and all these amazing people had played there, and he still had the balls to do that. So I was thinking, like, I can open with a new joke, right? So I went out there, and the energy was insane. And the feeling of being on that stage was just indescribable. It landed somewhere. It was like a hybrid between doing Red Rocks and doing the Acropolis in Athens, where both are like sort of these amphitheater things. Nothing was quite like the Acropolis. The Acropolis was like ridiculous. I felt like I went in a time machine back a couple thousand years with everybody dressed like it is now. That was something else. And then Red Rocks has like that psychedelic vibe to it. So this one had like golden age Hollywood, but also that outdoor thing, because there was a lot of like, people not in show business that were in the crowd. So they were bringing that energy. And I did the opening joke. It's a pretty fucked up one. And it did well, but it definitely made people be like, hey, well, what are we doing here? I felt, and I just laughed at the end of it, and I didn't give and I just freed me up. And I just caught a zone, and I just fucking, it just could not have gone any better. And then, Lovett's the whole time he's backstage. He goes, so when are you going to bring me out? Like 20, 30? I was like, John, I don't know. Whenever it feels like the right time, I'll bring you out. And then I'm sitting there going in my head, but what if I'm killing so fucking hard? I don't want to bring him out and blah, blah. And then I was thinking like, no, this is like a cool, really cool thing that all old school entertainers used to do. And as I've been telling you guys, I watched that Steve Martin documentary, and he goes out with Martin Short, and they have such a good time together. And I recently did Dave Chappelle's comedy club, and we were on stage together after every one of my sets. So I was like, no, this is you kind of being like, Billy the Loner, isolated Bill, hurt as a child Bill. Fuck this shit. Open yourself up. Bring this guy out. So I just felt, like the moment was right. About like 20 minutes in, And I was, the bit was, this is kind of room temperature. I'd love to have a cold water out here. I don't want to be a diva. And all of a sudden he just comes walking out, and like people down front, because they didn't have a spotlight on him, could see him. And they started going nuts. Place went nuts. And, we just trashed each other. And if you saw the podcast, he walked off stage as I was making fun of him. He was singing that song, Bill Burr Likes It in the Butt. You know what I love about that song? Is butt is way funnier than ass. Like ass, it kind of flows. It sounds like there's lube involved, but there's something about butt. It just seems like it's a lot more violating and way more insulting. So he was singing that song, which he used to sing to Bob Saget. I was giving John shit about that. I said, you just recycled all your Saget material. Now that he's dead, now you're going to fucking put it on me, And then he's like, oh, I got some new ones. And then he did have some new ones. And he said something, I had a camel toe or something. And he was like, your turn, doing that stuff. And then he walked off. And it didn't disrupt the set at all. It was just sort of this fun little thing that, was way out of character for me to do. Like I said, I grew up a fucking loner. My family was sort of not the most social family. We lived on a busy street. Everyone around us was sort of older or younger. They didn't have kids, or they were like empty nesters. So there was really nobody to vibe with for a critical 8 years of my life. So anyway, and then I just, was doing the rest. Oh, I forgot to mention, Dean brought me one of those caffeine, the maca things with the green thing with the fucking espresso shot. I had already had a latte, and when I went out there for the first 10 minutes, I was lightheaded. And I'm like, what's going on? We're not at altitude. I'm not nervous. Am I fucking freaking out somewhere? And I just remembered a long time ago, I used to do the Aspen Comedy Festival, and that thing you'd get out of breath. So I just started slowing down, taking bigger breaths, and it went away. And it wasn't until after my set, I was thinking I hadn't drank coffee for a week. And then I just had 3 shots for whatever reason on kind of an empty stomach because I didn't feel like eating. And I just think it made my heart rate already go up. And then I was so fucking excited to be at the bowl that I was kind of had to pace myself. I was literally at one point going am I going to be the first fucking asshole to faint during his own set? But the lovely Nia was there, and she said you couldn't even notice. So I said, all right, good. I mean, I know it enough to just keep rolling with it. Nobody's noticing. Just calm down. So I breathed my way through that shit. And like I said, it just, I went over my time a little bit. I really didn't even want to leave. It was fucking incredible. And I want to thank every single person that came out that made that possible. Thank Netflix for, having the festival. And it was just fucking awesome. So then I get off stage, and everybody's all smiles, but they're always looking at the performer like, did you like it? Did you like it? Because so many times, a performer gets off stage, dude, that was great. And they're like, no, it wasn't. I missed a tag 8 minutes in. And I'm too old to do that shit. I mean, I didn't give a fuck that I was a little lightheaded when I went out there because I drank 3 shots of fucking espresso like an idiot. I didn't give a shit. I loved it. And I love that even that little lightheaded thing happened and I was able to get through it. I love that I brought, me and Lovitz did that, and that worked. And I did every fucking thing that I wanted to do and did an extra 10 minutes just to get as much out of it. Almost like I got a late checkout at a hotel, And I was just grinning ear to ear, and everyone was telling me I did a great job. And then my wife comes in, and I saw the look on her face, and and when she told me I killed, that's the big one, because that's the thing. They don't, not too many people talk about that, but comedians' wives, like when they come in when your wife comes in, she's seen your act a bunch of fucking times. When she comes in with a big smile, it's like, all right, I know I got that one. And then, yeah, and then we just went over to the after party. It was just all my friends and family and all of that type of stuff. And we just hung out. And, it's funny. Somebody was saying, you've played all these places, what's next? Like, what is there left to do? Which I get why people say that. It's like, what's next? I'll tell you what's next. The next fucking killer chunk of material that makes me excited that I could do upstairs at the Belly Room in the Comedy Store, and I would still feel like I'm floating when I'm going home. Like whenever I start to feel a new chunk coming, I get like this high, and it's the exact same high I got the first time I ever did stand up when I didn't even do well. Supposed to do 5 minutes, only did 3. I bailed. It was a competition. I didn't even come close to winning it, but it wasn't about that. It was about having the balls to go up there when they called your name. And I remember driving home in my '83 Ford Ranger, listening to Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart. And I was fucking singing the song and screaming, and I had the window out, they had the window down, and it was just fucking awesome. And it's just kind of been that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'll tell you, there's been some rough ones, but like overall, that's kind of like what it's been. So, yeah, there you go, man. That's yeah. And everybody held this great. Like, is that gonna be your next special? I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be my next special. But I know better than to. I know what venues work for me. You know what I mean? Like I know Chris did his there, and I thought his was awesome when he did his live one there. But it's also like he did it. He just did one there, so I kind of feel like that's Chris's room a little bit, So I'm going to do my next one. I'm going to do it in Seattle, which I think is going to be a fun vibe because they're like. That's a fun city because you like in the city they're super liberal, and then you get right outside it, and it becomes like red hats really quickly, which is what LA's like. It's like in here in like Hollywood, bunch of liberals. You go on the other side of the fucking hill, right through the valley, and you get out there, and then there's like gun stores and just regular shit like you see in most of the country. So that's like. The perfect crowd. I want liberals, conservatives, and a nice mix of people. Hopefully, then it just opens up. You can talk about anything. All right, so there we go. That's my Hollywood Bowl experience.